it would create such a media storm. I mean, it would be Megxit 2.0. It would be Prince Andrew Newsnight interview 2.0, or even a Charles Diana divorce level of media story. And I just don't think they would particularly want all of that. I don't think the palace perhaps would want that to play out at the moment, particularly when King Charles is still undergoing a weekly cycle of cancer treatment. Hello and welcome to GB News Originals. You're watching Inside the Palace. I'm Cameron Walker, GB News' royal correspondent, and I'm joined by
Dorothy Reddin, Deputy Royal Editor at gbnews.com.
Welcome, Dot, and good to be back with you. I've been off for a couple of weeks, but I'm back and raring to go. And while I was off, we had, let's say, a lot of extracts from a new biography about Prince Andrew, Duke of York, detailing some stuff we already knew, but a lot of other quite serious allegations. And we won't go into the details of those allegations. They've been covered quite extensively on the GB News website, gbnews.com/royal. But what it is, though, I feel, is just yet another nail in Prince Andrew's PR coffin. Like, how much lower can he sink? You look at the latest opinion polls, it's on like 9% or something.
Yes, he's lower than both Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. I don't really believe that there is any way back to the public fold or to even working royal status for Prince Andrew anymore. And I do believe people made their minds up about the Duke of York in November 2019 when that car crash Newsnight interview aired. And I think nothing can redeem him at this point in those people's minds. And I think for people that were sympathetic, I think this new book has just absolutely, like you said, put the final nail in his PR coffin. I mean, there is no real way back. And it's a shame, really, for the royal family because it does taint them, even indirectly. And of course, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice, his daughters, have to deal with the public fallout, his ex-wife, the Duchess of York. So this impacts a lot of people. But yes, and there's a new article in the Telegraph today, which is even suggesting that Prince William could perhaps one day remove his dukedom or even a prince title. So, this is pretty damaging, I'd say.
Yeah, and certainly on social media, there's been a lot of calls for, well, currently King Charles to do something about it, as you say, kind of strip his dukedom or his prince title, or Prince William, as you're saying in the Telegraph, could perhaps take more action. But I think what's really interesting and what we need to point out perhaps is that it's not completely down to the monarch to remove a title from a member of the royal family. I think the last time it actually happened was way back in 1917, where a load of German princes had their titles removed because, of course, we were at war with Germany at the time. So it's incredibly rare. But what would need to happen, I think, is an act of parliament, isn't it, Dot? You'd need MPs to vote on it and it to go through the House of Lords and eventually get royal assent from the monarch.
It would need a complete unity of Downing Street and Buckingham Palace working together. Is it likely? No, but is it possible? Yes. And I think that possibility is probably really worrying the Duke of York currently, given that he still lives a life of luxury, even though he's stepped down from royal duties. He still lives in a grand mansion in Windsor Great Park, Royal Lodge, formerly lived in by the Queen Mother. The Duchess of York also lives there. So he'll be really worrying about this if he loses his dukedom or his prince title. That will be a huge blow for him because, like you said, he doesn't hold any patronages anymore. He lost all of his honorary military titles back in 2022. So that would really be the last thing going for him. But yes, it would need legislation via Parliament, which would be tricky, but it is possible.
Just when the monarchy thought it could begin to steady the ship, yet another bombshell lands. And this one drags Prince William directly into the storm. The future king is now staring at a huge conundrum, as Prince Andrew's reputation takes yet another brutal hit. Prince Andrew's scandals are far from fading. Despite attempts at rehabilitation, every new headline feels like another nail in the coffin of his already shattered public image. Reports and commentary this week made it clear. His reputation is beyond repair. From the disastrous BBC interview to losing royal patronages, Andrew has become synonymous with scandal. And now the burden falls squarely on Prince William to figure out what to do with this toxic legacy inside the family. This isn't just a PR issue for Andrew. It's a constitutional problem for William. As heir to the throne, he must balance family loyalty with the image of a modern monarchy. And here's the dilemma. What do you do with a royal you can't rehabilitate but also can't fully erase?
Well, it would certainly need a lot of political will, I think, as well. And I think the government, perhaps, certainly at the moment, has a lot more fish to fry in terms of what they need to do to sort the country out from whatever mess it is currently in. And also, it would create such a media storm. I mean, it would be Megxit 2.0. It would be Prince Andrew Newsnight interview 2.0, or even, a Charles Diana divorce level of media story. And I just don't think they would particularly want all of that. I don't think the palace perhaps would want that to play out at the moment, particularly when King Charles is still undergoing a weekly cycle of cancer treatment. But I think what the Telegraph was alluding to, Dot, and it would be interesting to get your thoughts on this, is when Prince William eventually takes over, he may have a different opinion to the whole situation. He may give the green light to certain things, which perhaps his father would be reluctant to do, because he has less of a personal relationship with his uncle, the Duke of York.
Absolutely. I think for 70 years, the never complain, never explain policy worked really, really well for Queen Elizabeth II. It was actually only towards the end of her reign where you saw that unravel, mainly with the Sussexes, the back and forth with Oprah Winfrey and whatnot, and of course the Duke of York. Not to compare the two, but both were pretty scandalous for the royal family in very different ways, but they were both scandalous all the same. I think Prince William is living in he grew up he's a millennial. He grew up in this age where he understands social media. He understands that the royal family needs to be more robust when it comes to defending itself and putting out statements. So I do definitely believe that. The royal historian Christopher Wilson actually said to the Telegraph that there's no doubt in his mind that William will be the monarch to start pushing back on statements that he believes are untrue and paint the royal family in a negative light, whereas King Charles has continued the policy of Queen Elizabeth II. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. But I agree with what you're saying. I think the repercussions would be enormous if Prince Andrew was to lose his dukedom and his prince title. You've got to think then, will William invite him to the coronation? Will he even be allowed to go to Sandringham at Christmas and Windsor Castle at Easter? Will he want cameras on him at all? And that will be a huge a conundrum. I'm glad I'm not the one that has to decide that. I'm sure you're glad as well. I mean, you've got to think as well, William grew up with his daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie. He's a fair few years older than them, but there's pictures of them and William and Harry going skiing together at a young age. Would William want to upset them by completely ostracizing their father? Who knows? But of course, that's where you realize I don't think many people in that royal family want to be monarch, because that is a huge crown to bear on their heads. Harry is the head that wears the crown, right? Like, that's a huge decision to make. Gosh, I do not envy him.
Well, no, it's such a huge conundrum, because he is the private family man who adores his cousins Beatrice and Eugenie, but he's also going to one day wear the crown. So it is that really tricky balance. Even if he I'm not saying he does, but even if he did despise his uncle Prince Andrew for all he's done with damaging the monarchy, and he says you can never go to the Sandringham Christmas, you can never do the Easter Sunday service walk to the church at Windsor Castle, it could damage the relationship between William and his two adoring cousins. So it is a tricky balance. But on the Easter Sunday point, there was a lot of questions raised, perhaps, as to why Prince William and the Princess of Wales and the three children did not attend that Easter Sunday service, considering the fact that, of course, Prince William is future Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Now, I think Camilla Tominey said on GB News, he should, because he is the future head of the Church of England. Maybe, I'm just speculating here, but was there a reason for that? Because, of course, who we did see there was Prince Andrew.
Palace insiders suggest William is determined to protect the crown above all else. That means shielding the monarchy's future from Andrew's disgrace, even if that comes at a personal cost. Public opinion on Andrew has hardened. People aren't just skeptical, they're angry. His attempts at public appearances are met with backlash, and polls show trust in him is at rock bottom. For William, this isn't about a one-time scandal. It's about carrying the monarchy forward while one member drags behind in disgrace.
Of course, we don't know the reason why. We do know that William and Catherine actually attended church at St. Mary Magdalene Church on the Sandringham estate with Carol and Michael Middleton. So they obviously chose to spend Easter with Catherine's side of the family. And, there have been some Christmases in the past where Catherine and William have spent Christmas with, Pippa James and Carol and Michael before. So it could have been that. But then there was also, the first royals to exit the car out. I was reporting on the day, and the first royals to exit the car were Andrew and Fergie. And you go, oh my goodness, we had no comment from Buckingham Palace prior to that. We didn't know if they were going to go or not. So it was when they stepped out of the car, I think a lot of people's heads were like, maybe that's why William isn't there. Maybe he doesn't want to share the same camera lens. He doesn't want to be photographed interacting with the Duke of York, given all the sordid details that have come out over the years that he's alleged to have done / said. But of course, we don't know the reason. But if people assume that that's the case, I'd be inclined to agree, because I don't think I'd want to be photographed with him. But also, there is precedent for the Prince of Wales not attending Easter with the whole royal family. When Charles and Camilla were the Prince of Wales and Duchess of Cornwall, they actually often attended Easter service in Scotland near their Birkhall residence. So there is precedent. Maybe, the years before you're king/queen, you just want to spend private time with your family, with your children, before the world's glaring media is on you. So maybe that was the case as well. But yeah, who knows? But yeah, it was interesting.
So what happens next? Does William quietly exile Andrew from royal life completely? Does he try to rehabilitate him behind the scenes? Or does he simply wait, keeping the disgraced Duke away from the spotlight until history fades his memory? Whatever William chooses will shape his reign. Because make no mistake, this isn't just about Andrew anymore. This is about whether the monarchy can survive scandals of the past while proving it belongs in the future.
And I think the other point to raise is as you mentioned earlier on, the issue of Royal Lodge, because the king can't just kick his brother out, and neither can Prince William just kick his uncle out, because Prince Andrew, for better or worse, has a 70-odd-year lease with the Crown Estate, the private company owned in the right of the Crown, but not run by the Crown, with Royal Lodge. And as long as he maintains the property, then he can stay there until the end of that lease, which isn't going to run out for a number of years. The question is, A, is there anything that can be done about it? And B, can he afford the maintenance? Where's his money coming from? And that's the ultimate question.
We don't know where the money is coming from, but it was confirmed towards the end of last year that the Duke of York had found the funding to stay living in Royal Lodge, and the Privy Purse confirmed that it was from legitimate sources, that they stopped short at naming those sources, so we have no idea. But yeah, if he can continue to live there, that's the terms of his lease. But if he can continue affording to live there, then those are the terms of his lease. So unfortunately, there is nothing that the king can do about it. There was actually a funny quote, a source quote in that Telegraph article, saying the king cannot stop Andrew from going to church, regrettably. It's like that thing of, you can't stop him from doing these little things if he is entitled to. And yeah, you're right, he had a 75-year lease to remain at Royal Lodge, which he signed in 2003. So you can do the maths. That's in the late 2070s.
Yeah.
But no, and if he's still alive, of course, that there's been reports that he wants to pass Royal Lodge down to his children as well. And so yeah, he's not leaving there anytime soon.
Prince Andrew's name is now almost a curse within the monarchy. And Prince William, the future king, is the one who has to decide how to carry the crown forward while protecting its dignity. One thing is clear: Andrew's downfall is far from over, and the shadow it casts will haunt the royals for years to come. What do you think William should do? Should Andrew be permanently sidelined, or is there still a path back? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me for more no-filter royal commentary.